Hello, good morning. So, today we're going to talk about something kind of interesting, I think. I think about it a lot. But yeah, it's depression. What I call the symptoms of my depression. Now, I've talked to some folks, and they also seem to have other symptoms. What I mean is, the symptoms are things that happen before the actual depression hits, not how depression actually makes you feel. So in that context, that's my definition. That's the definition I'm going to be going with through the rest of this video. I'm not, a doctor. I'm not a healthcare professional. I'm just some jackass on the internet who thinks a lot and talks a lot. So, obviously don't take any of this as medical advice. If you see similarities between yourself and others, maybe bring it up to a doctor, maybe do your own research. This is just me talking about my depression, right? Because everybody's brain is different, especially when you throw in depression and it starts literally changing the chemical compounds that are present in the brain during the episodes or events of depression. That kind of makes whatever I'm about to say completely invalid for your situation, right? But I think it's interesting. I think it's a cool video, and let's get into it. So, I've noticed over the years that depression usually for me hits about 2 to 3 weeks ahead of when it actually gets bad. Now, I have the kind of depression where it's like 15% of the time, 100% of the time, the world is like 15% shittier, right? So if I'm at 100%, I'm actually at 85, right? I never get to feel my full potential. I never get to feel things the way that they're supposed to be, right? It's always just a little shitty. But 85 is still pretty good. But it also means in times where I'm at, 40%, I'm at 25, right? It's always just a little shittier than it's supposed to be. However, there are episodes. There are these time periods of usually a couple of hours. They used to be days. In fact, a few years ago, it was days. And there have been actually months before that where it stayed. And through different management types, I was able to get the time down and find out what worked for me. And one of the biggest things was identifying when it was going to happen and shutting that shit down ahead of time. Now, I don't have a script, and I do got ADHD, so this rant may be a little bit all over the place, and you'll have to forgive me. But basically, one of the first symptoms I look for is, am I showing up to work on time? Am I showing up right at the buzzer to where I'm going to get in trouble? Or am I right on time, or am I early? That is a good indicator for me of am I starting to slip? It doesn't mean that I'm slipping, right? It could just be that, I don't fucking like work, because I'm lazy. Or, whatever, but it is an indicator. And then I'll look at things like, am I eating every day? Because what I've noticed is as I start to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer to an episode, my appetite takes a dive. I'll eat like 3,000 calories a day, right? Like easily, no problem. Sometimes it's just in 1 or 2 sittings. Sometimes it's all throughout the day. And that kind of, I wouldn't say is dictated by depression. That's more dictated by like availability of time, because of how much I work. And being a manager, like 20 plus people, you've always got somebody on your ass. Actually, I guess it's more than that now. A lot of people working for me now. I think it's like 40. But yeah. So if I'm eating a lot, that's fine. If I'm eating a little, that's fine, as long as I'm getting it consistently. But when I start having like 2 to 3 days in between my meals, I know that I'm hitting a depression. Like that is like a red alarm. Like you you are having your senses dulled so much that you can't remember that you're hungry, bro. All right, stomach pains for anybody who hasn't eaten before. That's a pretty big pain to be ignoring, right? Same thing with hydration. I know that when I start getting nosebleeds and I start busting the cuticles of my hands from just my body being too dry, maybe I should look at my look at hydration. What's another good symptom? Obviously snapping at people, like not being able to deal with bad news. You know, usually I'm pretty good with that, but you know, I would never say that I treat people unfairly, but the amount of slack that I give people goes shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter the more depressed I get, for sure. An example of this would be like, yo, I told you to go do this thing in this area like 2 hours ago, and you're an experienced person, right? The thing should take you an hour and a half. I give you 30 minutes to get over there, 30 minutes to do an hour and a half to do the install, 30 minutes to get back. You know, do your thing. Well, you know, I'm sorry, man, the roads were shit, and you know, the person want to talk, and I'm just not feeling good today. If it's the first offense, usually I'm like, yo, I got you, man. I appreciate your work. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for being here. Try and get the times down, but it's gonna come with time. I understand. You know, even though you're experienced, I get it, bro. When I'm at my like worst part in the depression, I'm like, okay, that's fine. Can you please just get it done? We have a lot of stuff we need to get done, and you know, now everybody else is gonna have to work a little bit harder. We're just gonna have to push really hard on the next order, okay? Now, you saw the difference in the tone there. Like, I'm still saying the same thing, but I'm not giving any recognition or reinforcement to their plights. And that's one of the things that I see when I have a depressive episode, is that you become so internally focused that you lose some of your empathy towards others because you don't want to be around other people. You just want to be left alone by yourself. And sometimes that's a bad thing, and sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes during depression, I just need to recharge my batteries. I need to sleep. I need to play video games. I need to jerk off. I need to do whatever the heck I need to do, right? I just need to be me. But sometimes I'm isolating myself so I can harm myself with invasive thoughts. And it's hard to know which one's going to be which. But I can kind of judge that based on how long I've been having these other symptoms, of whether or not I should reach out and ask for help, or whether I may just need to recharge my batteries. And I know that's not helpful, but that's, again, this is just about me. What's another good? Oh, clothing. I know that my hair doesn't look like I brushed it, but I did. I brushed it. I got my comb right here. It's just a mess. Like, my hair's just naturally messy. And then I'll just kind of mess it up afterwards, because that's how I like it. That's how it's always been. Right? But at least I'm brushing my hair. You know, I'm brushing my teeth. I'm wearing clean socks. That's a big one. A lot of people were telling me that, like, the level of care, personal care, degrades severely. So, like, you might wear socks 2 days in a row. You might wear that same pair of pants freaking for a week. And, you know, you might wear that shirt that has stains on it. Why? Fuck it, man. I'm just tired. I just want to get the shit done. Right? Is that an indicator of depression on its own? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Every man, most men, I guess, every man that I've known, has issues with, you know, that basic level of hygiene in some form, right? We try our best, but at the end of the day, we will fucking slap on those pair of jeans if we need to, right? for me, just knowing that the closer I get, the more dull I get to things, and the more internalized I get, I know that me wearing dirty clothes is bad. Like, if I'm doing that, I may be slipping. If I'm making a habit of it, right? If I wear jeans like one a day, who gives a fuck, right? But like, if I'm wearing the same pair of jeans for like a week, and I've done that with like 3 different pairs of pants, you know, fucking 3 weeks in a row, that's something where I'm like, okay, maybe I really need to start looking at this. When I start being able to not handle stress, that's another big one. And I think that that's one that I could see manifesting in other people. Because when you're depressed, you're focused on yourself, you're focused on your thoughts, you're focused on like what's going on with you so much. And really, if you're trying to actively manage your depression, it takes up a lot of your time and a lot of your thought process. You know, I think about depression probably like 1/5 of my time, right? It is a lot of my day, which is why I make YouTube videos about it. Oh, hold on, I lost my train of thought. Yes, so if you're thinking about depression like a shitload, fuck, I lost my train of thought again. God damn it, I was doing so good, guys. I was doing so good. Oh well, it is what it is. Another thing is the I guess what you spend your time doing, right? If you spend your time trying to develop yourself and you're trying to improve in any way, like video games, I consider trying to improve yourself, working out, spending time with the family, working, any of that, all of those things are kind of antidepressant behaviors. Whether they feel that way or not, and they can obviously have things that are contributing to depression, like asshole bosses, which I've had my share, don't worry. But it is actively you investing your time in yourself to improve at a skill. And that's kind of how I deal with issues at work, is if I feel like I'm having any kind of thoughts, like whispers is what I call them, voices, invasive thoughts, I will try and make sure that I'm always doing something that I see value in myself. So like if I'm working, I want to make sure that I'm working on my time management skills. I want to make sure that I'm working on my communication skills. I want to make sure that I'm working on my charisma, right? I want to be working on my speed with whatever I'm doing. I want to get better. I want to get something else out of it other than just a paycheck, because the idea of me just being there for a paycheck is so scary. It's actually terrifying. The idea that I'm just wasting my life and I'm not getting anything out of it but just trading it for money terrifies the living hell out of me. Let's see. I think that's about it. I mean, let's see. I talked about the snapping, talked about sleeping, eating. Oh, loss of train of thought or loss of direction in my life. Obviously, this is kind of hard because I got the ADHD going on. And this could be just two disorders trying to fight each other or working with each other, whichever one. But sometimes I feel like I'm in a fog if I'm really deep in the depression and I can't make sense or trust myself to make decisions in my own best interest. I'm not talking about killing myself. I'm talking about chasing serotonin. I'm talking about, man, I'm sad, I'm gonna go buy some Pokemon cards. Okay. I've still got like 5 boxes over there of Elite Trainer boxes that I bought. And the celebration boxes, right? Like, I gotta be careful on that shit. I'm talking about watching the same YouTube videos 50 times in a row because they feel good and they give me that hits. I've been doing that in the 2 hours before I made this video, right? I've watched every single one of these. I really like them. I like how they make me feel. And so I was thinking about making videos on them. So there's that. But, you know, I'm not doing anything to fight the depression at that point. I'm just rowing in a circle, right? I'm not trying to get out. And this is kind of where I reach out to another person, and it has to be a special person, right? It has to be a rock. It has to be an anchor. Somebody who's not my relationship, not my family, not my fuck buddy, not any of that kind of stuff. Somebody who's totally detached, that I can trust, has 100% the absolute best interest for me and is not going to manipulate me, but is not so close to me that their own feelings and motivations are affected by my trust, and it's really hard to find that person. I found that person 4 years ago, and it's been really hard since I moved away, because there's just some things I can't type out, right? But they're there, and they've given me the tools to be able to deal with these things. And like I said, now my depressive episodes only last a couple hours, and I've got the tools to get out of them. And we can talk later on a later video about how to get out of depressive episodes, or how I do it. But basically it revolves around that anchor person kind of guiding you, and trusting that their advice, even though it seems wrong to you, is right in the real world. Because again, when you're in a depressive episode, you're not thinking right, you're not thinking clearly. And once you realize that, it's very scary, extremely scary not to be able to trust your own mind. But you do it, and eventually, after you do it enough times, you'll be able to do it on your own. At least I was. And then you're gonna be able to control, or at least I am able to manage it. And it's almost like it's like a weird fucked up pet now. My depression is. I can feel it. I can feel when it's coming. I can feel what it's doing in my brain. I can assess when it's going to happen, when my symptoms are, what my symptoms are, how I'm going about it. And keep it in check. And I'll be honest, I haven't had a depressive episode in probably a week. And before that, I hadn't had one in like, I don't know, the last time I made a video about it. Where it used to be all the time, every day, all day. Because I was never able to get out. So, I don't know. I hope somebody found this interesting. Again, not medical advice. Just some idiot talk on the internet. Thank you. Peace.